Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lindsay's podcast. Tonight we have JC from the Let's Talk About It podcast, and of course, we have Ron Watley at Ronwatleyjr. You also can check out his YouTube page as well. They're both on YouTube. So we're going to go over the TI's expeditiously. How do you say that word? Expeditiously. I said it right, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, him and the words. Anyway, so we're the podcast that was called A Tribute to Kevin Samuels. So we're going to get into the clips. We got some questions lined up for you guys. So let's go on and get into the first clip.
Let's get it.
All right.
And I'm sorry, man. I know popular relationship coaches, image consultants, and they were all saying the same thing, that women are not really taking care of their fitness like they used to. But you want to design of this? And
no, that's not necessarily true. It's some women, I feel like human beings, you have some that, take care of themselves. You have others that kind of, you know what I'm saying? They I guess they succumb to their desires and their laziness.
Well,
or their comfort of doing nothing. That's not gender specific, in my opinion. I know cats that work out every day, men and women. I know cats that don't work out at all. Men and women.
When it gets right down to relationships, men want something, women want something.
Mm-hmm.
Men are visual. And if a man is going out here to kill the dragon, such and so forth, he wants what he considers to be an ample prize. And this I started talking to men. For 3 years, I talked to men. For 3 years on my YouTube channel, it was a conversation about men, about getting your level up, getting out here. I don't want to hear you broke and you're only working 40 hours a week.
Right.
I don't want to hear you talk about you on a dime piece and you got pennies in your pocket. That got pushed back from men. I got pushed back from men, but more men would understand that I need to do something different to get a different outcome. But when I started taking the tack and talking to women, the conversation with women, even the same factual information I'm talking with men about, even though it's hard to hear, not necessarily comfortable, I got a markedly different response from women. It was like, no, that can't be, it's not it. Well, that's a problem, man, because them women coming out and there are no men. But I'm talking to all the men and I'm realizing that what these guys are saying, or what these women are saying, and what these women are hearing, ain't what these guys are saying they want.
Who wants to answer that first question?
I feel like women should respect what men say they want, just as I feel men should respect what women say they want. I think the issue is people don't want to hear it. The opposite sex doesn't want to hear it, which is strange, because if you're attracted to the opposite sex, why wouldn't you want to know what you're attracted to once? It makes sense, but I think we're in a time now where everybody's so caught up in the toxic behaviors, and we've talked about it before. The women want to be city girls, the men want to be pimps, and you got all this weird stuff, and everybody's trying to finesse each other instead of just saying, "Hey, listen," because I don't know. I mean, I know some women, but I don't see the relationships working. They're usually stressful. I mean, women that have men that don't work into the relationship. And that man doesn't care. I know a couple where the woman's always telling him, you need to get a job, I need help. And she's always turned off by him, and he's upset, complaining he doesn't get any action from his woman because, she's not attracted to him. Well, she's not attracted to you, sir, because you're not listening to what she wants. And, that's, I think, where people are messing up. And again, Kevin Samuels was only stating I should always say, I agree with about 95% of what that man said. Almost everything that he has said has been said in the barbershop. I've heard it in the barbershop waiting to get my hair cut. I've heard it on the golf course. I've heard it on the basketball court. Men talk amongst themselves. Hey, man, this is what we're complaining about. This is what we're doing. So when women get the opportunity, like one of our previous videos, one of your subscribers has stated, like, "Ikea, you got intelligent men on here. Listen to them. It's our time to listen to what the other side wants." I feel like if we all collectively listen to each other and it's realistic, it could all work.
Well, yeah, but see, the thing on that, just to throw that in there real quick, because what they were really saying was the talking thing. It wasn't more so we weren't listening to the ideas of men. That they were coming on the side of we were talking, which people tend to do when they're having a conversation. So I don't think that was more so on, that part, but
yeah, they were coming for you. They were coming for you. But what
I already knew it was coming, so I was expecting
look at it from that
anyway,
perspective.
but,
Just
yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ron. I think that this is a two-way street, right? Like if we want to, and this is all about what kind of outcomes you want, I think, really. Like if your objective is to get married, right, then you have to care what the other person thinks, right? And I don't know where we've strayed from that. Somewhere along the lines, I feel like we have strayed from that, like you were pointing out. It's like we've become so self-centered that instead of, and it's not really just a woman's problem, it's also a man problem, right? We're so focused on what we want, that we're not really paying attention to, what we're trying to attract, So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Right. I agree on that part. I do think that, yes, like what you said, Ron, women do need to respect what men want and then vice versa, because there has to be that compromise in the middle, right? Because again, we all can't get everything out of a person that we want. There are some things you're going to be without, and you have to decide what are you willing to go without. And that's on both sides of the spectrum on that point. So I will say that I do feel like, yeah, they do. As long as it's both, like I said, both parties are agreeing this is what works for them, then go for it. And everybody's relationship is not going to be the same. I think we have to get away from that. But, so let's move on to the second clip and we'll go.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Yeah, the clips. Keep them coming.
Yeah.
My good buddy, Pastor Duval, he said something earlier today. It blew my mind. It was very simple. However, it was concise and very true. He says, women go from, why don't you just plan it for us, to, all we ever do is what you want to do, so fast. Some kind of way, without you even knowing, their expectations shift to where they don't want you to plan anymore.
Right.
They don't want you to take charge because now you're controlling them.
I almost guarantee you, said earlier, that single women keep women single. Ooh. It's all throughout our culture. Go back to In Vogue when they had that little lead in. What's going on, girl? It's so-and-so. You should just leave him. You shouldn't put up with it. Ain't no man worth all that. Ding dong. Oh, I got to go. That's Kevin. See, when the woman got a man, it's always the single friends that tend to be on the outside telling that what you should and should not accept.
Get my wife in here. Get my damn wife in here.
You get women who at the 1 minute, I love him because he does everything, but you got a woman in there. Yeah, he's trying to control. Girl, that's what this is. Oh, that's what that is. Oh, that's narcissistic. Like,
I just told my woman and her friend the same thing. My old lady's friend, she said that isn't always true. And I said, listen, men genuinely don't like their wives, fiancés, or girlfriends' friends because they're usually coming in trying to tell your wife everything to do to take their mind off of not having a man themselves.
Yo, so this is a good one, right? I got to jump in on this because I feel like, and I've said this for years, there are two types of people, right? There are people that they're social people. They need their friends. They need to be around groups. And then there's people that are have very small circles, right? And they're like, they'll have their mate and maybe their immediate family, but they don't need big friend groups. And so the first thing you have to do is figure out, right, this is a compatibility question. Like, is the person that I'm dating compatible with me? If they're a social person and they need large friend groups and I'm not that kind of person, this person may not be for me, right? But to the point, if I am a social person and I have single friends and I'm in a relationship, absolutely not, right? Like, my relationship is something that is between me and who I'm with. So I'm not going to be taking advice from, my single friends, my single homies. Like, that's not
Man, absolutely not. Your friends don't belong in your relationship. I feel like there's a boundary there. There needs to be a respect level that has a boundary where people, mind their own business. I don't feel like anybody, male or female, man or woman, should have people in a relationship, especially their single friends. And I always was told that, married people shouldn't hang with single people because single people won't respect the marriage. But man, I'd say this. You have to watch who you're around. Like you said, like I said in a video recently, it's okay if it's not for you. It's okay when you realize, this isn't for me. And sometimes friendships, jobs, and that relationship, if your relationship is the forefront, depending on what you want, as JC said, what is your end game? What are you trying to do? What do you want the outcome to be? If you want this to be a forever thing, a happily ever after thing, you got to work at it. And sometimes when people can't respect what you do, this is like if you got a job where you can't smoke or, weed or whatever. And your friend, hey, you got to do this. You want that money? Or you want to, you want to get high. What do you want to do? So you have to pick and choose. And I feel the same way about the relationship. There's no place for other people in your relationship.
Right, because it should always be personal. I believe in a relationship being strictly organic, and that's why I don't agree to let the whole entire world in on your happy domain, right? Because even friends, and they may genuinely care about you, but it's that one thing they might not like, and that is if you're happy and they're not. So them type, that's why I say if you, I don't believe in running to social media when you're having problems in your relationship. Deal with it with that person or a therapist. Do not go and telling your friends, because if you got the single friends, they're going to be like, what you said, go on and leave. Don't put up with that, blah, blah, blah. But you got to figure out what works for you, what you're willing to be able to stand in and deal with. If it doesn't, it's a deal breaker, or you tried, it didn't work. That's understandable. But that outside force, you have to be careful because they're everywhere. People see you happy on social media and they're putting negative energy over your picture. And they might hit the love button, but really it's backwards hate. So yes, I definitely
family too.
Like that. Huh?
Family too.
Yeah, family too. You got some family who are envious of your happiness, your relationship, because they're not in one. So you have to be careful and definitely, like I said, keep it organic. And the only way to do that is keep people out of your personal problems or just anything. Like y'all are planning a trip to Jamaica, don't tell your friends. Tell them when you get back because you done already did it. You know what I mean? Because they might try to manipulate the trip. They might try to keep you out till 4 o'clock in the morning at the bar. You know what I mean? And see what you can fall into. So yeah, I definitely do agree with that part. I've always believed in privacy in a relationship. It's not the world's business to know everything that is going on. They can know you're happy, but everything, I don't agree with that. So I'm going to move to this next clip, y'all.
They're trying to find me. I said, okay, cool. I bring you one man that fits your criteria and her criteria. Mm-hmm. Only one. Are you ready to compete with her?
Oh.
And it came back to, no, I think you can go find another one. And see, men understand that if I put that one woman between this, you could be my homeboy since this
right.
big.
We're going to let her decide.
We're going to fight it out. And whoever she
pick. We're going to figure it out. We ain't going to fight it out, but
but
like,
she going to pick.
I'm going to present myself, you present yourself, you let her decide.
And when she pick, you're going to be like, you got it. But we're going to be good with each other.
Right.
Men will accept what our partners think. You can tell men, hey, man, I think this or that. A man's going to take it into consideration and then he's going to do what he's going to do. Women really tend to care about what the group thinks because they're the social of the group. That's how they're wired, man.
Go ahead, Ikea. Let's see what you got.
This one.
They're okay. Well, the women might be against me on this one, but I absolutely don't believe that. Well, for them, me personally, I could care less about what other women think. Like, if you don't like what I do, fine. I'm not going to stop doing it because you don't like it. So me, I'm taking, like, if I had to include myself, I disagree. But now there are some women like, every aspect of what they do, they care more about what a woman thinks than their significant other, which to me, that's backwards because your partner's supposed to be your lover, your best friend. They pretty much replace those people, but just not, I want to say like in a physical sense, like you still have your friends, but their opinion should not be dominant over your partner, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so Kevin made a point. He made a point in this that wasn't in the clip. He used Marilyn Manson. No, it wasn't Marilyn. Who's the Charles Manson? I'm sorry, the cult leader from the 70s. And he used how he controlled the women in his cult as an example, and said, you know, the way that he was able to control these women was through their friend groups. He was able, you know, if he kicked a girl out of the group, she was losing her friends. And so he was able to get girls to go out and murder people. You know, that's how strong this attachment to the group is for some women. It's a real thing. Like, they really just instinctively care more about what other people think or what their friends think than what men do. You know, I think there's some truth to that.
I agree with both of you and what Kevin said. I've seen it before where women have chosen what their friends wanted or said over their marriages, over their relationships. I mean, hell, I've even seen it where they changed the way they parent or altered the way they parent based off of what their friends or the group thinking was. And if you look at it, I've been saying this for years. It's so sad because when you get on the internet, everybody's talking the same. You know, the women are kind of talking like dudes now. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's got that talk, that bro, and you know what I'm saying? It's all group think. It's you're a unicorn, IKEA. You know, we told you that, you know, a while ago. We're not talking about you and the women, the yous of the world that are different, that carry themselves different and don't care about what the group think. But majority of the women do care about what the group think. That's why they're FREE free, right?
Well, yeah, but again, see, that's why I said I would try to stay away from even the word majority, because majority would mean that you have access to the majority of the women to know that. I mean, I get it. When we're on social media, we could share something. There could be 200,000 comments. That still doesn't make the women in the comment section the majority. So I like to use the word some.
Well,
it's a separation.
There's also a lot. There's also a lot of data out there that we didn't previously have, because it, like dating sites like Match.com and these kind of things. So when they do research on these kind of things and they come up with generalizations, there's validity to the generalizations. And what you're saying, IKEA, is that there's always going to be an exception to a generalization. You personally, right, don't really fly that way. That's not really how you roll. But that's not to say that women in general, that there's not some truth to that.
I was saying that, yeah, because, okay, like, for instance, say a lot of women, like we say, majority of women like pink, but then there's some women who like purple, and then you have some that like both pink and purple. That's what I mean. Like, there's always going to be groups. You see what I mean? Like, that one box fits all. And I get it, like, yes, we tend to, if it doesn't apply, we do tend to separate ourselves, which that would be the right thing to do. Separate yourself from it, because if it doesn't apply to you, why are you putting yourself to the fire? I get it. So, yeah, like I said, I mean, there are people who will do that, and there are some who will not. And that's why I said, again, you have to find what works for you, and you have to go from there, because everybody's going to have an opinion either way. I think it's just a way of stating your differences where you agree and disagree of how you say it, because we have to remember at the end of the day, you have to have compassion, because some of them people, even some of those women, even like the woman who made the FRE video, it's F and F, but even her, like what she was saying, like, remember she referenced the guy, she said, he say I'm living fast, and she said, no, pussy boy, you slow. So she may not have readily been around people to show her something different. And a lot of those women and those men that we be talking about, those are the ones. We have to have a level of compassion, not to say your compassion level gives a pass, because compassion and giving a pass is two different things. But remembering, like, a lot of those people from certain areas of this country that came at the bottom of the barrel, they were not shown anything different. So when you're saying it, it is taken in a different way because that's new to them. They don't know. Their mama didn't know. Their grandmama didn't know. Their friends definitely didn't know, especially if they're partaking in it, because they probably wouldn't have been friends. But
because they're hanging out the window with their ratchet ass friends,
working on them headlights. Hey.
Well, that's one of the criticisms that I have for Kevin, kind of along the lines of what you're saying, right? He brings a background to the table that's very like statistical, demographical, Excel spreadsheet, like mathematical. And he breaks this stuff down in a very uncompassionate way, you know, and there's a lot of truth to what he's saying, but it's so daggone abrasive sometimes, you know, it's so, you know, there's so, I don't know, it's just, there's not a lot of compassion in it, you know, he's not accounting for the fact that we're talking about love here, not chemical engineering, you know, so I see what you're saying.
I kind of disagree to an extent because he brings the same level. I mean, he's just giving that tough love. You know what I'm saying? Because we're at a place where it's a mess. And he's not talking about the women who aren't out here with these crazy ideals of, you know, where some women were saying, they need a man that's a millionaire. You know, the car got to be this. He got to be 6 foot, whatever. Got to be, you know, hung like a horse. Got all these demands. And he asked a few women. He said, well, what do you bring to the table? What does he get? That's a fair question. What does he get? And the woman said, he gets me. Okay, so you have 20 things that are non-negotiable, and he gets you. That's it. What are you going to do to exponentiate his? What are you going to do to further that man? And so I think what it was he was coming from a place of exhaustion, because it's exhausting. And you probably heard it before too. Like again, and I've said this numerous times. Think about when we came up in the 80s and the 90s. TV shows, these talk shows, Maury's and Montel Williams and Ricky Lake and the divorce courts and all those things were catered to women. Women, right. So y'all always have had someone speaking on your behalf, have always showing your point of view. So now that men have someone stepping up and saying, hey, we tired too. You know, there's so many, if you watch TikTok, if you look at even Instagram Reels, you'll see men who are depressed, who feel like they're not heard, who feel like their emotions and their feelings don't matter. There's times where I've tried to say, hey, you know, that hurt my feelings. I didn't like that. I tried to be vulnerable instead of just being pissed off and shutting out. I say, hey, that hurt my feelings. I didn't like what you said. I didn't like what you did. It was flipped. You're tripping. You're insecure. You're this, that, and the third. So most men go through that. Sure. Most men have heard that. And so I feel like his presentation was trash half the time, most of the time. I agree. But I think it was coming from a place of love, like tough love. Like, yo, you know, get yourselves together. Men and women, get yourselves together. You know what I'm saying? Because just like the dude you played the clip of a few episodes ago, that dude with the unrealistic expectations, you know, he was making what was it, $1,000 a month, $1,200 a month? Not a week.
I think it was like,
he wasn't making nothing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't nothing. And you had this list that's non-negotiable. You're not physically fit. You're not healthy. You're not bringing nothing financially. And like Kev had told him, you're not even bringing that thing because there's a lot of men.
That's what I said about that too. Is like, okay, you can tell a person they're unrealistic, but see, he called him a fat fucker. Okay, is that not tearing down?
That's abrasive,
That's not building a self-esteem. You're tearing it down. So when we
that's kind of what I mean. Yeah,
mental health is at an all-time high of being bad. Like these folks are. You got people on a daily are ending it all because the way, like I said, people will say sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but words may never hurt me. That was the stuff we were taught in school. That was the biggest playground lie, right? Our parents would tell us, you know, say that to them, or I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever I say, bounce on me, sticks to you. That was not helping those kids, but it was molding them to have low self-esteem. And then you have to think about people who went through that. Like, obviously, they knew they weren't the most appealing kid on the playground. Like, we knew who the popular kids were in the sandbox, even in elementary school. So I'm going to go on into the fourth clip.
How do you come up with, the rating system. Your infamous rating scale of 1 to 10. And is it accurate?
Accurate enough. Here's the thing. And here's the thing. And seriously, back in the day, there was a movie called 10 with Bo Derek.
Okay.
Now, I didn't think Bo Derek was a 10, but there were enough movie-going men who thought she was a 10 to buy tickets. We've always had this 1 to 10 dating system. The late comedian Patrice O'Neal used to say we should have it from 0 to 30. There's always a number. Just like a credit rating,
right?
Amount of gas, there's always a number. Whether we like to admit it or not, beauty is both subjective and objective. There's an objective standard of beauty based upon the Fibonacci sequence, the golden sequence, the spiral. So if you look at people that are viewed as attractive worldwide, even what babies will respond to, they tend to have symmetrical facial proportions, and it's based on spiraling out. It's mathematical. So I look at women based in 2 categories, your face and your physique. You ask about the rating. And as an image consultant, or even if you go to Hollywood, if you go to a modeling agency, there's a rating.
But let's just say like Lizzo. Lizzo, she's a plus size woman, but she has a beautiful face. She's talented. She's smart. She's, you know what I'm saying? She's
the fact that we got to
charismatic.
And the fact that we got to say all that matters.
What you mean?
We don't do all that.
But
shit.
she got such a beautiful personality.
But we don't judge personality on Miss America until we get to the questions. I mean, and see, the thing is, we grown. We used to know how to do this, and we got this whole PC acceptance. Everybody get a trophy culture.
I believe we do. Everyone has their type. Everyone has preference. Because I'll say this: like I remember. This is probably about 15 years ago now. Oops. I was in a room full of older men, and they were talking about Halle Berry. Though I think Halle Berry is a pretty woman. I think she's beautiful. I don't feel like they were ranting and raving like she was the coldest woman on the planet, and I didn't see that. Some people, Beyonce, she's beautiful. I always thought Kelly Rowland looked better. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's your preference. Now, again, there's, some people may think I'm attractive and some people may not. But that's the thing. Each person has their own view of what's attractive. And so I feel like everyone has their own beauty rating system or handsomeness or I should say attractiveness rating system. I feel like everyone has it, men and women. You know what you like. You know what you expect. You know what you want. And what's your thoughts on it?
To me, the rating system it goes back to, like I said, there is no one standard of beauty because beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, right? So the way God made you, that's how he intended on you to look. It was humans who decided to determine if someone is ugly or not. And to me, we can say someone is not attractive, but calling a person ugly, as in your way of unattractive, because to me, ugly is that character of yours, that your persona that you give to the world. But like your looks, no, because if that's the case, then we need to drop the rating system because there are a lot of women who went and underwent surgery to try to enhance their look so that now they're putting them on the beauty scale, the rating system. Oh, she's a 10 now, but just 6 months ago, before she cut her face up, she was a basic B, not attractive. She was ugly, blah, blah, blah. But I just think that's why you got these women all out here with the same face, the same lips. Like if you look at like the art collectors, even like the Sukiya, like the women who have gotten surgery, Cardi B, she's changed her face how many times, right? And until it gets to a point, they're unrecognizable because of people in this rating system, and we're putting that up here. And it's like, you got to take that aside and look at the person. Like what T.I. said, she's talented, she's this, and what did he come in and say? But look what, we got to say all that. And then he compared it to, you don't judge the person until they start asking the questions like, what? See, that's why you got people out here with unrealistic looks, expectations, and that's why the plastic surgeons are winning in this country right now.
Yeah,
they're winning.
I don't know that it's a good thing. I'm kind of with you on that. It's maybe not the best thing, but the reality of the matter is we've always had this kind of thing, right? All the way back to like when we first started dating in middle school. You know what I mean? Like there's certain
people that kind of, when they talk about levels, like you got to level up or whatever, right? And then there's, like, I've heard people say, look at you and look at me, and ask yourself, does this make sense? Right? And so the reality is, whether we like it or not, whether we put an actual number to it or not, instinctively, this is how we rate each other. And I think that a lot of the problem that people have with relationships is they're always shopping in the wrong aisle, right? So, like, if they're a 5 or a 6, they're trying to go for a 7 or 8. You know what I'm saying? And so their expectations, they're not accepting kind of what the universe is sending their way. They want something more than that. They're not really accepting whatever their grade is or whatever their number is. But whether you like it or not, we're always going to have that. And maybe it's not a good idea to actually put a grade on it, or actually put a number on it. Mm-hmm. Maybe that does kind of cause people to go to extremes, but yeah, it is what it is. Like, I have standards. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have certain standards myself. There are some women that I just won't consider. I just won't. Right? And then there are some women that I know are way out of my league. Like, they wouldn't look at me or bat an eye at me. I'm good with that. I accept that. But to live in this fantastical world where this doesn't exist, come on. Like, it exists, and it's always going to exist.
Yeah, because of, like I said, the materialistic mindset and the physical appearance has, like I said, those are at the top tier of what you're looking for in a person. It's the physical appearance, the body type, all this and that. Because remember, even if, like, some of these athletes and stuff, right, if you trickle down their past to their first marriage, like their high school sweetheart, compare them to what they got on their arm today, like now, it's totally different. Usually it's the woman who she doesn't have none of those standards, that the societal standards that we deem as beautiful, as he's fine, whatever the case may be, right? But the women that they are going for are those, like, same ones. It's like those. You think the woman who went through all that surgery, no matter how crazy she might look, do you really think she's looking in the mirror and saying that she's a 5 or average at best? No,
Let's be fair about surgery too, though, right? You're presuming that surgery is always about what other people think, but some people go.
No, but that goes to it is what I was trying to say. What we're saying, words have power, and they can manipulate someone else's brain by what you said. They internalize it. If you're up there saying, well, you're average at best, if you are not a strong individual, you don't have that thick skin, because everyone doesn't, you start to internalize it. If someone is constantly saying, you're unattractive, you start to think you're unattractive. Well, you internalize it, you live it, and then it's like, well, I don't want to be that anymore. So maybe if I get surgery, I'll be better. Maybe they won't say that.
But if you could, just let me interject one first. Remember, we talked about the average at best before. He was reiterating what the lady already said about herself. 2, we go back to the group think where we talk about how women care about what other women think. Those big eyelashes that look like they go on headlights of cars. There's no man I've ever heard say she would be way hotter, colder, badder. If she had bigger lashes. Most men, I'm going to speak for myself. I ain't even going to say most men. I know for me, I don't require makeup. You see what I'm saying? I don't require a woman to have makeup, because I doubt you going to bed in it. I doubt you waking up in it. You see, I doubt you showering in it. There's going to be a point in time where I'm not going to see the makeup, and that goes back to that fantasy world of some people's expectations are unrealistic. And then going back to what JC said, sometimes we're just shopping in the wrong aisle. So if you in aisle 5 and then you decide I'm going to go shop in aisle 10 and your budget isn't there, you allergic to whatever in aisle 10, or you can't stand the smell or the upkeep, you can't afford the upkeep of whatever that is, you got to go back to aisle 5, baby. Like, that's just what it is. It's not that, because think about it again, there's somebody for everybody. There's some people that we've all been like, dang, that cat got some kids, Flavor Flav. I mean, what, he got about 11 kids? And I'm just saying, most people say he's an unattractive dude. But how many kids he got? Yeah, he got money and stuff. Look at half the NBA players. A lot of women don't think that they're fine. The money's fine. Football players, same thing. It's
but
just
they know that themselves. They
right, but that's what I'm saying.
Athletes know that they're not. The only reason they got them is because of the money, and so that's what I said. The rating system to me is like contradiction because again, if you are a billionaire, if you got Jeff Bezos money, you can go out here and get some of any. You can get a big girl, a small girl, anorexic chick that eats once a month. You can get any type of woman you want, and the same with a rich woman. She can go get any type of man with that kind of money because, again, they're coming for the bag. They're not coming for you.
But here be with this, though. You can't necessarily say that with women and men because, like, yeah, Oprah.
Women want that woman to get some of them dudes. Let's be realistic now. Yes, they will.
Most men don't care about women's money. We go back to a few episodes when we said that before. Now, it's different because a lot of women do care about a man's money because, of course, you're looking for that man to be able to provide. Numero uno.
She should.
But then there's other stuff. That's what I'm saying. So that's fine. And the man is not looking for that woman to provide. So most of us don't really care about y'all's money.
The good ones don't. But the ones who want to be the woman, like be catered like a woman, be taken care of like a woman, yes, they care about the bag.
Now, what I'm going to say when you go back to the Lizzo thing, if you look at most Kevin Samuels messages, he's realistic as to what society, like he said, Miss America, we don't ask about her personality until they get to the questions. So when you get to that point, you have to look at it as he was trying to coach people and say, hey, yeah, I know plenty of dudes that love big women. I mean, they will not date a skinnier woman, a smaller, thick woman. She got to be fat. Look at my 600-pound life. Majority of them are in relationships. And I'm not, saying it to be funny. I'm just being realistic. There's somebody for everybody. But what he's saying is if you want to go, you in aisle 5, and you want to get to aisle 10, hey, you're going to have to hit the gym. You're going to have to push the plate away. You're going to have to work more than 40 hours a week. You're going to have to do about, 1,000 push-ups a week. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it may be that you need to do to get to the next level. Like you want to do more with business and you want to run stuff. You want to be a boss. So you went and got degrees. You see what I'm saying? So you leveled up. That's the same difference. Like you want to live a healthier lifestyle. You work out. You eat better, right? You stop smoking. You stop drinking. But you can't complain that you got heart disease and you got COPD and your liver's failing and you got diabetes and you got hypertension because you what are you going to change? And you look at those as the same way of, man, ain't nobody attracted to me. Now, granted, you can have a body of a god and the face still ain't there, but some women gonna want that body of a god and don't give a damn about the face. You see what I'm saying? So he's saying that's all his message was. It was all people went off of those sound bites. If you really listen to what this man was saying, he was just telling men and women, step your game up. You want to be with 10s, bros? You got to do some work. You want to be with 10s or higher earning men or high value men, ladies? You got to step your game up. What are you bringing to the table? That's all he was saying.
I'm kind of in between on the whole number idea, right? I'm willing to admit with everybody that it exists. But I'm I go back to I agree with Kevin some of the time on some of this stuff. Some of the time I really don't. And with the number thing, where I'm at with it, it's like, yeah, we all know it exists, right? We know it's there. We all know it exists. But that doesn't mean that we need to acknowledge it and throw it in people's faces. Like it goes back to that uncompassionate thing, right? He's so abrasive and he's so analytical about it that he's not leaving any room for compassion in a place where there needs to be. He's talking about love. He's talking about attracting other people. These are spaces that are not real analytical. They're emotional, interpersonal relationship spaces. And so I acknowledge that the numbers exist, that the aisles exist. But I just don't think that it's one of those things where it's like it's okay to acknowledge it, but like to use it as a weapon, right, to motivate people. That's where I'm kind of with IKEA on it. It's like some of these people internalize this stuff way too seriously. And instead of actually helping them level up, what you could be doing is really beating them down, you know? So yeah, that's one of the areas with Kevin where I'm like, I think you could be a little more empathetic about how you know, but at the same time, it's a number. You know? He needs stock value. He needs views, YouTube. So that's a good way to do it.
Yeah,
I agree.
It was a marketing thing. The sound bites was marketing. I mean, because when you're talking about the internet, shock value sells before anything else. So clickbait is going to get people in through it. And even when they get on, they realize, yeah, you got punked. I just need you to click. It got you there. So like Kevin Samuels understood the name of the game when it comes to that. If you want to get up there fast, you can't be organic and be, have the empathy and all that stuff. You're going to have to get nasty with it, right? And they can say it was nice, nasty. But again, we know the messier you are, the faster you build a platform on the internet, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. If you are negative, everybody's coming to you. But if you're that positive mindset, you're doing everything legit, you're not trying to be the negative Nancy, you slowly build, and it takes you longer. And like I said, you can do the test, go look, watch how they talk and compare, and you find it. Negativity sells.
Like if you want to be an influencer on the internet, the quickest, easiest way to do that is pick either Republican or Democrat. Doesn't matter which side, really. Just pick one side.
Because you're going to get an argument, yeah.
I'm just saying, use their talking points. I'm not trying to make this a political talk.
Right.
Like how to elevate online, right? People are attracted to negativity. So I understand why Kevin used the rating system, why it was created. I just personally, I have more sympathy towards people, right? Like I'm not trying to, if I'm really trying to help somebody, tough love is one thing, right? But creating a system where I identify them with a number to beat them with, that I feel like is maybe a little too abrasive for me. For me, it's not something.
Well, he didn't create it. I mean, you admitted it too. It's a system that's already been in place. And, you said even all the way back to when we were in elementary school, Kev was 55, 56 when he passed. So I'm, 36. So, I mean, when I was in elementary school, he was dealing with his cancer and stuff. So he had nothing to do with the system. What he was doing was just the same difference as if Lizzo approached a guy that don't like big women. He's like, no, I don't mess with fat girls. Big girls.
I'm saying,
no, I know what you're saying, but I'm saying he's giving the same energy.
Yeah, but he put a name to it. And that's what I'm saying, where I wouldn't put a name to it and label it and acknowledge it and use it. I mean, I would acknowledge its existence, but I wouldn't name it, label it, and use it, in trying to coach people in interpersonal relationships. It just, to me, it's a step too far, but that's just my opinion,
Well, let's move into the next clip real quick, y'all.
Okay.
See, this is what I think. When you say high value men, high value women, I think regardless of your social status or your financial status, it's somebody out here for everybody.
I disagree.
I think that every soul has a mate. You're telling the universe what you will and won't have, instead of looking at what the universe has presented to you as yours truly. I think that is more so the problem. It's somebody out here for everybody. We just won't accept it.
From a number standpoint, it don't work. Females outnumber males on this planet, so there is not somebody for everybody. That's what I mean. We understand what it should be, but the numbers say no. And here's the other thing. There's somebody for everybody, but the problem is there's somebody... This whole high value,
I'm trying, man.
But it's the truth, and this is why the show is popular. The show is popular because I say, okay, what do you want? You want to be married? You want 2 to 3 kids? You want not to have to work to pay significant bills after you're pregnant? What percentage of the household income would you like to have to be responsible for? Less than 25%? Okay, how much does a man need to make to support you, a middle class lifestyle, and 2 to 3 kids? And like it or not, that's a very actuarial thing. It's boom, boom, boom. You say, well, then how many men is that? How many men fall into this 6 figures that's been with us since 1985? You'd be amazed how many women would not be willing to accept men who are blue collar. Even if they made more money.
What?
Brother, this goes deep. So at the
Is it about the money or is it about the look?
It's about how her friends will perceive her man.
It's about how her friends will perceive her man.
This is that 5% where I said I don't agree with them. So, like, I literally just said a few minutes ago, there's literally somebody for everybody. I truly believe that. Again, there's certain aspects and outlooks that we all have. But again, I look at it as certain people, I've seen people that most people say are unattractive and they're with someone. Again, you look at my 600-pound life, the average person is not going to look at them and be like, oh, they can get it. Let's be real. That's not the case. But most of them have somebody right there by their side, wiping them, walking them, feeding them. You know what I'm saying? Flavor Flav. I mean, like I said, how many kids that brother got? There's somebody for everybody. Now, granted, you have people using people, there's flex, there's all these other things. But I do agree that there is somebody for everybody. There's true love for everybody out here. Have some of us probably already had it and screwed it up, fumbled it with possibly, But I do feel like at the end of the day, when you get in line, like Brother JC said, if I'm in aisle 5 and I'm shopping in aisle 5 and I can afford aisle 5 and I'm not allergic to what's in aisle 5 and everything fits right in aisle 5 for me, I believe I could find someone. See what I'm saying? But it's when I go to aisle 10 and it's way out of my budget. I'm shopping for, I'm shopping for basic stuff. I'm shopping for chicken breast or, chicken thighs or, ground beef. But now I want to go step up and I want to get some crab and I want to get some lobster tail and I want to get, these $45 steaks. And that's stressing me out because I don't even have enough money to do it. That's the problem. And that goes back, and that might have been, I'm not trying to insinuate what you were saying, but I think that's where you were going with that, is when you stay in your lane, when you stay, and I'm not saying in your comfort zone, I'm saying stay in your lane. Know you. Know who you are. Know what you are able to do, what you can afford. Because if you're going out here and you get one of these Instagram models that feel like they need a Fendi bag or they need this or they need a $5,000 belt and you make $5,000 a month, before taxes, you see what I'm saying? It don't make sense. Leave them to the people that can afford that, that's going to entertain that. Stick with your chicken breasts, your chicken thighs, your ground beefs. You see what I'm saying? It's still good. You're going to eat, you're going to be healthy, and you're not going to be as stressed as opposed to going out 10. And maybe that you can buy a steak as opposed to getting, you see what I'm saying? So my opinion, I disagree with Kevin on that.
I'm kind of with you there. Like, I kind of lean that way too, as there's kind of somebody for everybody. And when he kind of uses, female versus male population to sort of justify his views, I don't know that I agree with that either, because yeah, there might be more females in the world, but there are a lot of adjustments that you could make to those numbers that would probably lead you to a place where you're looking at the answer to the math equation saying, yeah, okay, there's somebody for everybody, right? I don't know what those adjustments are, but I imagine they're out there, maybe there's a group of women out there that don't want a relationship at all, right? Then you adjust for LGBTQ, right? There's all kinds of adjustments that you can make demographically to probably come to the conclusion that if it's not 50-50, it's pretty daggone close to it, And so I think you're right. I think if you're shopping, and even if I just accept the numbers as they are, right? If I'm really dedicated, like if I'm a woman, and I'm really dedicated to finding a man, which supposedly we're the minority and the women are the majority. If I'm really dedicated to finding a guy, it goes back to that, caring what they think, caring what they want from me. And so if I'm willing to compete and I'm willing to provide or bring more to the table, then I'm inevitably going to find somebody. If I'm in the right aisle, if I'm looking in the right place, and I'm doing the right things.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I'm with both of you on that one too, because I mean, when we're looking at it, In the Black community, there is not someone for everybody when we're staying within our race, right? Because the women are outnumbering the men on that spectrum, and then there are not enough Black men going around there because, again, you got to think there are a lot of our men are locked down in prison. Gave their life away to the system because of the choice they made, and then just even out here in the streets. I mean, it's every day. How many Black men are released into the streets? So yes, Black women, it's getting harder if she wants to marry a Black man. She does have a time frame, but now, do I say you just go run to the first thing that's willing to accept you? No, you need to see what it, compare what it is they want out of life and what you want out of life.
Are you saying properly vet?
Well, yeah, because I say that's for every race. I'm not saying that doesn't apply to just the Black community. I'm saying to everybody because, again, you have people that date out, and of course they get called the divestors of the situation. I'm so tired of hearing that. Listen, if you can't find it in your own community, there is someone else out there that may be accepting to what it is that you want out of life. And if you keep yourself boxed in and let other people dictate how your life should be, that you got to marry a Black man as a Black woman, or a Black man, you got to marry a Black woman. We've seen that happen. We're not allowed to say anything, but if the Black woman does it, she's a divester. She hates Black men, blah, blah, blah. But it's like when they go get them a Latino or a white woman, we're not allowed to say nothing. It done got to the point now, if you want to go, the door is open. If you want to go over to the other side, go. You don't owe me an explanation, but don't get over there and then be like, ha. That's why I'm over here with Becky. So, and when I get over there with John, I don't want to get you up on this internet clapping back at me and then mad at me. But there is someone. Again, they might not be the finest thing in the world.
I guess the one area that I would say that I'm like indifferent on this is like when it comes to dating outside the race or whatever. If somebody prefers somebody, if a Black woman prefers a Black man, right, and she can't find a Black man, then that's an issue, right? That's a systemic issue, right? Then we're doing something wrong as a society by not providing that. So I don't have an issue with people that date outside of the race, but it does strike me as, that's unfortunate. If our system is set up in a way where there are Black women that want Black men and they can't find those Black men because we have systemic issues preventing them from finding them, then I feel like that's something we need to address.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that because I think the issue is when we bring it to the table, because in the Black community, everybody comes from a trauma background in some form. And so when it comes to the gender thing, what some would consider it's a war between the woman and the man, Black man, Black woman type. It's not a war. It's the thing of we got so far down that we don't know how to come and meet in the middle and say, okay, this side, I want you to say what the issues are of how we can get better for on the men's side for the woman and the woman for the men. We don't know how to do that. We just know how to come in and we come to that battle line and it's this. Okay, it's not, okay, we stand together on this. We both have sets of issues because, again, there was a lot of trauma. And it stems up, again, goes back into our history. Coming back, a lot of us were conditioned to think that the only thing that Black women could do was get older and get married to a Black man. And that's not true. You have some women who did that. And now they're coming out and they're openly saying look, I was conditioned to do the same thing. So I was spilling that rhetoric to other people. So I was telling them that, don't leave, they were told the same thing. Don't leave their husband. Don't leave that Black man, blah, 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 whatever the case may be. But it was a lot of emotional abuse and people didn't realize that because the one thing that I get, men are not nurturing creatures, but you have to remember that you're dealing with a woman. So you cannot forget that those emotions have to be nurtured because if not, that is emotional abuse. If she's trying to tell you how she's feeling, and you're not willing to listen to that, what do you think is going to happen? She's going to be miserable. She might be silent, but some of our grandmothers were miserable, but they kept a smile on their face. But on the inside, they were crying out too. So yes, there is someone for everybody. I think that's why you have to do what works for you. You can't worry about what the world is talking about because it's still going to turn regardless. Whether you're single or you're in a relationship or you're married, you have kids, you don't have kids, you go to college, you don't go to college, you work or you're unemployed, the world is still going to keep moving. So if you allow time to dictate you and people's rhetoric to dictate your life, you're never going to find happiness because you're going to be trying to be a people pleaser to people that are not directly in front of you. So that's my take on that part.
I hear that.
Great.
Okay, we're going to move into this last clip here.
And when I was saying about the numbers, 20 million black women, if you adjust for half a marrying age or not, okay, 1 out of 4 will get married. 1 out of 4 will get married. If you have all these women over here, 18 with a high school degree, even with a GED or a PhD, I'm a PhD, all wanting the same kind of man. The numbers won't fit. So this is why you have this whole thing, well, we'll just date out. We'll broaden our dating pool.
What does that mean, broaden your dating pool? Date outside your race?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And the thing is, most groups want to stay inside their group. You're not going to increase your amount of available higher level men by dating out because that just assumes that your non-black female competitors are going to let you come take their men. They want their men just like you want your black men.
Okay, so what you think? Is it increasing or decreasing?
I see a lot of it. I do feel like it's increasing. I don't feel like, well, I guess I never gave any thought of what he just said about there not being enough available. I just kind of thought people were just kind of open to kind of like what we were saying earlier, like what you were just saying a few minutes ago. You step out, you're like, okay, you know what? This didn't work. So I'm about to try something different. And my point of view on race is from what I'm reading and what I see is the human race is just one race on the earth as far as humans. And we're all different shades because of where our ancestors were and, all that good stuff. And I get the cultural piece of it. And, sometimes it can be difficult. And I do see a lot of it everywhere. I mean, you even see it in the commercials now. But I feel like it's more accepted. And I even seen like during the riots and stuff in 2020, they had, they had some younger white girls holding black, toys up in the air, talking about Black Lives Matter. But what I'm saying is I remember when I was married and, we were part of this ministry and it felt like we were the outcasts because the majority of the couples were interracial couples. And it wasn't a bad thing. It was just like, we're the only ones really, like everybody else got somebody from a different culture, and it was beautiful variation. Children were beautiful and all that. It was just, I see more of it increasing and I'm cool with it. I don't, I know people don't like it or, not like what I'm saying, but I'm cool with it because I feel like if someone loves you, respects you and honors and cherishes you and help build with you, man, it is what it is. Because at the end of the day, everybody's blood is red. You know what I'm saying? Everybody put their pants leg on one leg at a time. And, we all die. There's, we're all this. If we really stop with the differentiating, whether it's in culture, like I don't know what, if there's something like that going on in white culture or community or, Indian or any of that. But like in the black community, we got light skin versus dark skin and, men versus women. And if we all, and then if the community, say every community did stick together, then now you're looking out and now, everybody's looking at people in different shades. If we look at each other like the same and we respect each other the same, hey man, this person bleeds. I cut them, they're going to bleed red just like me. They warm blooded just like me. They have a brain. They have to eat. They need water. They want love and respect and acceptance just like me. If we start to look at things that way, and I'm saying in each community and every person in the world, a lot of these mass shootings will stop, these terrorist attacks, these wars, all of that stuff. But the problem is you have to dehumanize your enemy. That's a war tactic. You dehumanize the enemy so that you don't have any feelings when it comes down to it. And I think that's kind of where you see women celebrating Kevin Samuels, where think about how You call people, men call women bitch. You dehumanize her. She's a dog now. You see what I'm saying? I'm dehumanizing you. I'm not calling you by your name.
They called me a 304 2 times down in the comments.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. But if I can dehumanize you, if I don't look at you like I got a sister, I have a mother, I have daughters. If I can dehumanize you, I don't have to really give you any feeling. I don't have to give you no true emotions. I don't have to care about how you feel. If I could look at JC and say, well, he doesn't look like me. He's white. His ancestors probably owned mine. And we got a problem. So now we're perpetuating hate. And I'm putting him in a situation that he has never had anything to do with, and neither have I. And so what I'm saying is, again, if we can go back to a place where we can respect each other and love one another and just remember, like, dang, this person got feelings just like me, or this woman's just like my daughters, as far as a human being, not saying like actions. And if people could start having that self-respect for themselves, you can kind of start respecting other people. So again, that's my opinion on that.
I always try to tell people that, like, I personally identify as American, right? I don't identify as white. I don't identify as Caucasian, anything. I'm an American. And that's how I see anybody that is a citizen in my country, whether they're Black, Indian, Native, they're all American to me. And I understand reconciliation. I understand as a nation trying to get on an equal playing field. And I support movements like that. I believe that we should that's the promise of this country, is to give everybody from the start an equal, fair shot, right? Everybody's created equal. As far as like relationships and how that plays into it, for me, it's like, I have no issue in dating a white woman, right? Like, if they love each other and that's good for them, then I'm like, go for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, go for it. Like, and I think that if we box ourselves in by color and we become exclusive and not inclusive, then we're just perpetuating the same old problems that we've always had, right? And we're not progressing. We're not evolving as a country to meet the promise that we're all equal, right? We can't stay isolated in these little boxes. We can't. And, I'm not like advocating for interracial relationships. I go back to the preference thing, right? If a Black woman has a preference of a Black man and she can't find one because there's just systemic issues, then that's an issue. But if she has a preference outside of her race, then I say, yeah, if you can find somebody that loves and cares about you, then go for it,
Yeah, and that's how I look at it. I mean, because like I said, otherwise you'd just be waiting around. I mean, and you're getting older as time goes on, just like they are. And we're just in a time now, I'm speaking from a Black woman's standpoint, because all of them are not going to agree with me, but they are just to a point that they're tired of waiting to find one that particularly is going to allow them to still be who they are. And I'm not saying by being themselves, coming in and being the person that's wearing the pants. What I mean, just feeling like they're still a human being. I'm not just a person that is here just to build you up and then that's it and it's forget about me. Because one thing that a lot of these Black men got to realize is this is not just an issue in America. Black men, there are other Black women in other countries dealing with the same thing. Over in the United Kingdom, they're dealing with it, and they're even dealing with it in countries in Africa. It's not just an American thing, but you got to realize it. I get we're talking in this point. It's not just here. They're saying the same stuff. All they have to do to understand that is you got to get outside of just the same people saying the same thing you're saying and go see what other people are saying. Because again, when you're doing research, you can't research yourself and say that is the facts. You have to go look for it. And it's not a tearing down thing, because I'm not sitting up here saying there are no good Black men. That to me, I would be lying. There are. But again, wherever you are, if you're not willing to uproot and move across the country to go look over there or whatever the case, or you're not in online dating to kind of help you decide that, what do? Do you settle for what you got? Because I think you'd be making a mistake. And that's the same with black men. If you can't find a black woman that suits the needs of you, your desires, or whatever the case to make you happy, go find someone who will.
The individual.
That's what I want. Yeah, it's an individual, because it's like, why feel bad for wanting to be happy? That's what everybody what it all boils down to. Everybody, whether you want to be married or you don't, because I get it. Now we're in a time marriage ain't the end all be all no more like it used to be. But people they're not opposed to being in a relationship. They're just not looking to put it on paper. But does that mean they don't want to be happy? Because everybody deserves a right to their own happiness without someone dictating what it should be like. And that's why I said I never agreed with arranged marriages.
Yeah, and I think to add a little to this point, I think that the people that are exclusive on all sides of this, right? The people that are against interracial relationships, they are so far in the minority, right? Whether they're white people or the black folks or Asian or whatever, they're so in the minority that I just, sometimes they're the loudest in the room. They have the opinion that's the loudest. But I think we've reached a place in this country where, it's an individual choice that everybody has, right? Mm-hmm. You find somebody that you love and care about, and you live your life with them. Their race, I feel like should not come into your decision making process in that. I
think it's a matter of the washing out. I think that's really the bigger thing. I think that's what most are really considering the matter, because if it wasn't about the wash, then it wouldn't be a big deal, right? Because I think that's what they're looking at when you're looking at the existence of the black race that is still existent in America. I'm just considering America. And the number is getting low, but they're not the only number that's getting low. But again, there are other factors that play into the decrease in that number. It is not just the interracial relationships are not the reason that number is becoming a wash, because again, you have some white men with Asian women. You got some white women with black men. You got Puerto Ricans and well, I don't know if I've ever seen a Puerto Rican and Asian together, but it could be. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen everybody in the world, but there are many races that are integrating with other people. So,
yeah.
You seen an Asian and a Latino together?
I'm saying that could be a nice mix. I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either. That's why I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen that. But I mean, again,
I guess when you're talking about wash, you may have to educate me here a little. Are you talking about like preserving the race? Like
like keeping it alive. Like that's been like a thing that has been brought up. It's like if black women go and like say have babies with white men or whatever man that's outside the black race, then they basically our race will become a wash because that whole.
I feel like on that. I feel like that all groups are always primarily majority going to prefer their group. Interracial dating is probably going to always be sort of like a subsection of that demographic, but so I don't really see this as a preservation issue. I think that there's enough people out there. Like, I think there's enough white folks that are, want to be with white folks to preserve white folks. There's enough black folks that prefer black folks to preserve black folks. I don't think that this self-preservation thing is a justification for really being exclusive. You know what I mean? That's just my thought. I don't know. Maybe
I think it's a mix of some others, and then again, some stuff is definitely just they use those as the reason, but it's something deeper than that. But they don't really say it, or you'll get it in another type of sense. So then you kind of read between the lines. But I mean, it happens like that. But I'm gonna click this next one here. So.
The answer is simply this: you go to the market and you ask the market, "What do you want?" You don't give them what you think they should have.
Damn.
Any market, right? Any market. You're trying to say you should take this, and the marital rate is declining. It's dipping. And it's not because men don't want something. Go back to what I said at the beginning. I found that men wanted something. Men wanted to be married with kids. Even in this Me Too political environment, still wanted to do it, but they still couldn't find this, and one of the main concerns I heard from men, especially when you start talking about when it comes to our community, one thing is women were uncooperative. Uncooperative, and then we got to get into the other component.
Who wants to answer that one? I'm going to let one of y'all take that one first. Go ahead.
I feel like you have to know who you're with. So, like, if y'all got to the point where y'all married or getting married or engaged or whatever, there are certain things that you obviously change as a man or a woman. You need to change because you're not no longer single. But I feel like if there's core things about who you are, core beliefs, nothing, whether you're a man or woman, should you be forced to change. Because if I got to the point where I decided I want to marry you, and then now I'm like, yo, you got to change, A through R. You got to change all those things to stay with me. Well, I knew those things about you already. You see what I'm saying? And it goes back to when we were talking about, knowing yourself and you know who this person is. If you know who they are, why are you now trying to change who they are? You gotta love people for who they are, not who you want them to be or who you think they could potentially be. So no, I don't feel like a woman should have to change unless, again, there's something like if she's talking to a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's like as a man, if you talk to a bunch of women, or if it's a certain profession, and if you're into certain things as a professional sport,
Talking about if a woman's a stripper and she should get off the pole because he wants to get married now,
something like that, or
well, hold on, but I just asking now. Y'all know I ain't a stripper, but some of those men meet them women in the strip club, and then they want to get off the pole.
Right, I get it. I mean, Richard Gere met Julia Roberts on the street corner, but I'm sure he wanted her to stop doing what she was doing in Pretty Woman, right? So that's what I'm saying. If you got a sex worker or you're in a certain environment, because you got to think, if a man decides, I'm going to marry her, we look at her as elevated. There's something about you that I want to be with on a more permanent level than I did with other women. Mm-hmm. And so I value you. You're a high value woman to me. And so now I'm just expecting, because like I said, I know some strippers that bring in bank. I watched one have a counting machine and she counted 10 bands out over a weekend. I'm like, damn, I have to figure something else out in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to give it to her, But the thing is, for real, being all seriousness, as a man that values a woman, when we value y'all, we don't even want everybody to be able to imagine what we're getting. We don't want people to look, because we know, honestly, men are visual creatures. Men are usually hypersexual, let's be clear. But when it comes to our wife, or the woman we want to be our wife, we value you. We hold you at a higher standard. So now, I know I met you in the strip club. I don't go to strip club. I'm just use this example. Yeah, I met you in the strip club. But I want you to, do something else. You know what I'm saying? Besides, we're combining incomes now. We're going to be under the same roof. So you ain't got to shake your ass for cash. You know what I'm saying?
Wait. Hold on. You just said we're combining incomes now. If you took her out the pole, she ain't got an income no more.
No.
So what you going off of?
What I was saying was the whole inclusion of the team.
Oh, okay.
Saying the team, because you know how y'all be trying to make it like we're misogynistic and y'all
No. I was just asking you because when you said that, I was like, wait, but if you just snatched her off the pole.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Money, unless she's going to job with you.
Remember I used Nene Leakes a few weeks ago as an example. Ain't that where she used to be a stripper?
Yeah, and she wasn't paying none of his bills or combining incomes. She didn't have one.
But what I'm saying is she also didn't remain a stripper after she got with her husband, right?
No, he was a millionaire.
Cardi B, right? But how did she become that? She didn't do it stripping. You see what I'm saying? He
got her out. He went in there. He was one of her clients, and he snatched her off the pole.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Income to her. That's what he did.
But that's what I'm saying.
His income. Yeah.
But no, what I'm saying is like she's making her own money now. She's doing what she's doing. She's making her own money when she's with her husband, when he was still alive. But what I'm saying is like, again, I'm going to wrap this. If I value you enough to say I want to marry you,
Right.
I'm not going to force you, but I'm like, babe, hey, you mind not? Can we do something different? Or what's the end game? What's the end date? Give me an end date. What you doing this for? Is it to get through college? Or you about to start a daycare? You about to start a restaurant, a food truck? What are you doing so we can know the goal to get to it then? Because I value you enough and I respect you enough to not want to have to come and catch a case because somebody wanted to put their hands on you or try to do anything extra. You see what I'm saying? And that's where that would be the line, I would think. Other than that, like, again, I know who you are. You do what you do. Maybe you started drinking excessively and you're getting dangerous. Babe, I need you to stop doing that. Or if you're doing drugs or something, you see what I'm saying? An addiction or a certain profession. I feel like, yes.
I feel like the whole premise of the idea is it goes back to value. Like you're saying, my spin on it is sort of like, when I value a woman enough, there's some validity to the clip in that I'm motivated to do whatever is required of me to keep this woman happy, right? So it's that value thing, right? And I think the premise of the idea is rooted in the fact that too many people jump into relationships with people that they don't value enough, right? And because of that, they end up doing things, whether it's sleeping around or whatever, that they wouldn't do if they were in fear of losing the person, right? If you care or you valued someone enough, there's an inherent fear of losing them, and that motivates you to act proper, to act right in your relationship, so that you don't have to face that fear of losing them, right? So to me, it's about getting with someone that you value enough that you're going to do whatever is required of you to keep that person happy. And I know I'm going to bring that to the table. I know that that's how I'm going to act. So there's an expectation from me that the woman is going to behave in the same way, because I have no doubts about myself, right? I'm motivated to do what I have to do to make you happy. So I'm going to expect that you bring that same energy.
Come on.
I can agree with exactly with what you both just said. Yeah, I think, like, again, it's the compromising, as long as you're both agreeing to it, you're not being forced into, which obviously you can't force anybody to marry, and that's on either side. But yeah, the compromising and understanding, like, okay, we're doing this not because it's just me, but it's each other. We're both agreeing to it. I think it works out just fine. Like, there are certain things, again, that'll naturally change, it's just, that's part of life that goes into that, because now you're not operating as single people. You are operating as one, as a husband and a wife, or whatever, your preference is. You're together now. So yeah, I think that's a fair statement to make on both ends. So yeah, I agree with both of you on that.
Thank you.
But a man could get with a woman and motivate her to do everything she needs to do to become fit, to become cooperative. If a man is, motivating a woman properly, I believe, and if that woman is motivating that man properly, I believe we both have the missing components to what the other needs. I think the problem is what we're going out there and looking for is people who are strong in the ways that we are strong. The idea is for us to accompany each other and fill the void and compensate for the strengths and weaknesses that the other has. That is the issue. I think we are expecting the same things from each other. Opposites attract. They say that for a reason. If you like to talk, then you need a man who like to listen. You like to cook, you need a man who like to eat. You're good at being organized and doing the bills and handling the money, then you need someone who's, probably more of an extrovert and can, speak for you at parties when you don't want to speak, or, what I mean? Y'all need to accompany each other.
You think a man can motivate a woman to do or be X, Y, Z?
Yes, and vice versa.
And vice versa.
Yes.
But what's missing from that calculus is, let's take it out of relationship. You got excellent credit rating and a lot of money. You're not going to go buy a car that you got to do repair on when you can buy a Bentley off the lot. basically, if you got the money and the credit rating to afford a Bentley, you're not going to go get a car you got to repair. And we've told women that men should accept men who go out here and work 60, 70, 80 hours, putting in the work in the field, in the office, in the studio, trying to get out here to separate themselves from the competition. I don't have time to come on and try to motivate you to take your ass to the gym when you know that's what I want in the first place. Women know men want women that are fit. And women won't. This is going to be tough, man. But y'all sitting back like, yeah, say it. Tell the truth. Tell it.
I'll jump in. I like to think I have the gift of gab. I like to think that I'm a good motivator. That's what makes me a good leader in different settings. I have motivated the women that I've been with to become better. But I don't feel like if it's a manipulation thing, then that's different. And he's wrong again, because I said I know plenty of men that only prefer bigger women. So he's talking about women that are fit, men only. Again, everybody has their own preference, so I don't agree with that. And I feel like either side. I mean, if I love you, and I notice again, if you're getting heavier and you're getting unhealthier, and you're getting heavier, and I'm not as attracted to it, babe, let's go together. You want to go for a walk? Let's go to the gym together. Let's do, again, how you mentioned compassion and love in spaces that you need that in. You can speak in a compassionate way to people. When you learn to speak to people's spirits, you get them to do almost anything. Mm-hmm. But it's when you don't know how to speak to their spirit. And again, that goes back to who are you with? Who are you dating? Who are you married to? Like, you knew this. Were you in the right aisle? You know what I'm saying? What happened? Because you should be able to motivate. Y'all should have been able to see if y'all could motivate each other when y'all were dating. That's just my opinion. So I don't feel like you should try to manipulate, because I feel like in some ways that might have been where it was going with that. I feel like you should, any of us should be able to motivate our partners to become better.
Right.
I mean, like, I'm with you, like, and kind of in a sense with the click on too. Like, personally, I don't know that I would enter a relationship where I felt like there was a need
to change,
a real need where I was like, okay, I'm going to have to really, change this person to fit what I want, However, with that said, I believe once you're in a relationship and you're committed and y'all have the same objectives and goals. Like, I believe in sitting down and writing goals out. You have your goals, I have my goals, and then together we have goals together, right? Mm-hmm. I help you achieve your goals, you help me achieve my goals, and then together we both try to achieve the goals that we set for our relationship. As far as motivating the person, like, I feel like in maybe in that kind of arena, you're motivating each other. You know what I'm saying? It's a situation where it's like, okay, we're gonna lay it all out. We're gonna pick where we want to be 5 years from now, and we're gonna attack these things together, right? When it comes to things like weight and that sort of thing, like, yeah, I'm not gonna enter into a relationship with somebody that I feel like I got to change them or
right
motivate them to be what I want. So, as harsh as that might sound, it's just true. I'm not going to settle for less than what I feel like I deserve. So to the point, like, if I can afford a Cadillac, I'm going to get a Cadillac. I'm not going to buy a used car that I have to repair.
Right, and that makes sense, yeah. And I agree with that sentiment on both of y'all too. Is that the part you said of write down your list of goals, right? Because that is important, because you wouldn't go on a date with someone the first time, right? And I get sometimes you go on the first date, you don't really want to get into like that whole life goal thing, you just kind of vibe and feeling each other out. But after that third or fourth date and it hasn't been brought up, that doesn't make sense. But I think you can start having them conversations. What do you aspire to, right? You could want to be an astronaut. I might want to, who knows, go and find dinosaur bones somewhere across the world. Is that going to really fit our lifestyle? So you get to know up front. That's why, again, it goes into the bed and see who they are and what they want. And you should always ask a person where they see themselves in a certain amount of years, because that I don't know crap ain't going to get you far. I don't think anyone should date someone who has no idea what they want out of life, where they see themselves, and what kind, if they have no goals for themselves. Because if all you're aspiring to be is just my partner, I'm sorry, but that's not benefiting me either. We're not gonna benefit each other. It's just you're gonna be like the person, like, like a kid poking at your leg, wanting you to pick them up. And I don't think that will work on either side. I think it's important to have those goals because, again, we can motivate each other. If I see you're slipping in this area, I'm going to be like, hey, I remember, 3 years ago, you said this is what you wanted to do. I'm noticing you're kind of not doing it. Is your mind changed? Or are you just lacking motive? Find ways to keep each other inspired to continue reaching their goals in life together, especially if those are things that you have. So I definitely agree with you. I think that's very important and something that all couples can consider, because not even just your goals, but, talking about the finances and how are you with money, it's all type of things you got to know before definitely jumping the broom, because you don't wait till you get married to find out. That's for sure. But we're going to jump to the final clip, y'all, and then we're going to get up out of here. We've been on here for a minute, so we're going to jump to this last one.
I think that there is no difference in chivalry and chauvinism. The same elements apply.
Well, yeah, because
doing something because you feel like a woman shouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. Now, why you feel like that woman shouldn't do it, or the intention or the spirit behind why that woman should do it. Like, hey, let me open that door for you. Women shouldn't do that.
Right.
Hey, let me pull out your chair. Women shouldn't do that. Hey, let me pay this bill. Mm-hmm. Women shouldn't do that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Versus, hey, let me get that high-ranking position in the military. Women shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. Hey, let me get this corner office and CEO position, because women shouldn't do that. So chivalry and chauvinism have the same elements, lots of the same elements. It is the intention and how it is applied that separates them.
Yeah, and human beings know how this works. I mean,
don't assume anything.
Well, here's the funny thing. When I say this, I'm part of Generation X, okay? For thousands of years of recorded history, men and women have pretty much known how to do this. To lesser or varying degrees, but we've had inventions and civilization. We're not farmers anymore or hunter-gatherers. We built buildings, airplanes. We got to figure it out. But then along came the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and we came up with all these new ideas of how we should do things. And we used to accept that men and women were different, and that didn't make us less worthy. We're just different. Now we have a world to where it's like, well, we're all the same, and we're not the same. And we're trying to reimagine. There are people who want to reimagine how men and women should interact. Here's the problem. That sounds good in a laboratory, in a classroom, but in the world, people just won't accept it. Women want what they want, men want what they want. And here's the calculus that went missing for the longest. Women control access to reproduction and sex. Men control access to relationships. And if men control access to relationships because we're the pursuers, we ask for proposals, if the marital rates are declining, if relationships are dropping, it would be an unwise business to go chastise the customer for why they're not buying. You need to ask, what's wrong with my product?
I think they have. It has. The reason I say that is, like, I'm not huge on gender roles because I know it's supposed to be equality and all that. I don't feel like a woman can't pump her gas unless I'm in the car riding with her. I know a couple a few years ago when they're divorced now, but the woman called the man. She was on the complete opposite side of town, and he's thinking he ran out of gas. He pulls up. She's at the gas station. She said, "I don't touch the nozzle. I don't." So he stopped what he was doing to drive 20 minutes clear on the other side of town just to go pump her gas. Not that she didn't have the money, not that she was on the side of the road. It's my wife. Let me go out here and help. I think that is that strange crap, where she's the woman don't. Yeah, if he's in the car, yeah, But then there's stuff like if the trash need to be taken out, you're gonna sit and there's a stinchy, there's something stinky in there until I get home. You're just gonna take it out so you ain't got to deal with the whole. You see what I'm saying? I don't feel like I'm not huge on gender roles, but also I do feel like equality has changed the game with the feminist movement. It just has. It's devalued the men, if you ask me. I don't feel like, men have oppressed women for years, for centuries. I understand that. But what I'm saying is, like, not every woman was oppressed. and not every man was an oppressor. Now, granted, just like the same thing we say with racism, how, blacks were oppressed and whites were uplifted, but not all. And then we say, oh, well, they're benefiting from their white privilege. And then, men are benefiting from male privilege. I feel like there's men that stands in the gap. I feel like there's men that's, that are here like, yo, that ain't cool to be sexist. You see what I'm saying? Or to treat them different, or for them not to be paid the same for the same job. Or you guys got to work tirelessly to be better. But what I do feel like, again, is this movement has devalued men and it's told women, you don't need a man. You don't need a man. You can do this by yourself. You can do this. You can do that, which has created bitter and not better. Because now women are bitter because the way they treat men is the same way how when we talked about racism, how if I'm just mad because of what happened how many ever years ago, and yes, there's still racism now. But what I'm saying, if I'm mad at him just because of slavery, just because of the color of his skin, and he's mad at me because of whatever was passed that could have been passed down to him, it's the same difference with the whole gender roles, to me, in my opinion. So now, women, some grandmas stayed in abusive relationships because they were not able to leave because they couldn't financially go anywhere. Some moms, the same thing. But there were a lot of women, and there are a lot of women who weren't even in those type of situations where they weren't abused. They weren't in any type of way. But then there were women, because I know this one lady in particular, she was a therapist. I don't know if she still is, but I know one place that got rid of her because she would tell women that if they were a stay-at-home mom, that the man was being financially abusive to them. Now, granted, they got access to the whole check account, savings. They're writing the checks, paying the bills. And she would tell couples and tell the women, you need to leave him. He's been financially abusive. And so I know one place that got rid of her. I don't know if she's still
was she on TV or she was like?
No, I know. I know the lady.
Oh, okay, there in Ohio. I was gonna say, what the hell?
So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, she would tell women that, and she would tell men. She would tell them right now. They sitting there, and she would tell them, and she would tell people this, like, the whole confidentiality thing didn't mean nothing, but she would tell, like, yeah. And I told him he was an abusive, a-hole because he was controlling all the money, and I'm like, he's making the money and she's controlling the money. You see what I'm saying? He's bringing the fuel and she's driving the car. So, like, I don't disagree with stay-at-home parents because I remember at one point when I was married, it got so expensive for childcare. It was like, yo, we had a conversation and she's like, I really don't feel like going back to work. And it was just too expensive for child. So it makes sense. And I made enough money, we was good. But, like, some women have shunned those women or shamed, I should say, the women that get to stay at home. And it was even some stuff in close circles of ours where people shamed my ex-wife for being a stay-at-home mom. And so that group think got in there, family and friends. And so then we started to deteriorate quick. Mind you, she was going to school. She was doing everything she needed. We were straight, but we started to deteriorate once the outside sources got in. Because then, you're being controlled. This was something she brought to me. You see what I'm saying? And I agreed to. And so it was just one of those things that she felt pressure to get out and do what other women told her she should be doing. And you look at these women that were in these relationships, the ones that were married, they didn't even respect their husbands. And so some of them have been multiple serial marriers. You know what I'm saying? Serial wives. But again, I say all that to say, I feel like the movement has totally just tarnished relationships. I'm not even talking gender roles, just relationships, period, man. Because then you telling certain people that I remember one of my siblings had told one of my daughters, "Oh, you don't touch trash. That's the man's job. If that trash need taken out and you need to get that trash out, you see what I'm saying? Now I'll do it." But they ain't allowed to take it out from out here. You know what I'm saying? But, like, if you're at your place, you're going to eventually be living by yourself. Okay? Would you want me to come do it, or you going to expect, your boyfriend to come do it? You have to learn certain things and responsibilities. My mom raised us, me and my brothers can cook. My dad's side of the family, all the men can cook. You see what I'm saying? But if that was a gender role, we ain't got no place in the kitchen as men, right, bro? You said right, IKEA. So I enjoy cooking. Y'all will start to see that because I'm starting to post my videos more. But like, I enjoy cooking, and that's what I do. And that would be a gender role disqualifier because I'm not supposed to be in the kitchen. A woman is. So what would I be doing to eat? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I know how to iron. I know how to wash clothes. I just seen a meme earlier today that said if you can smell the fabric softener in a man's laundry in his clothes, he's in a relationship. You can smell it in mine, and I'm not. But my mama taught me how to do laundry. You see what I'm saying? So it is what it is. So no, I mean, I totally agree with that.
To piggyback what you're saying, I've spoken to a lot of girls my age that are friends of mine, and they expressed to me that, they wish they could be stay-at-home moms. Like, you go, particularly single mothers, right? Mm-hmm. If you go to that demographic and you ask them what they think of feminism and where it's brought us as a society as a whole, they're going to tell you that they wish that they could just stay at home and take care of their babies and not worry about the bills, right? And so I feel like what we've had is it goes back to that the loudest ones in the room. You had the loudest women in the room speaking for all women. And unfortunately, it pushed us to a place that's made two incomes in the house almost a requirement in some places.
Yeah.
They have to go, even if they have a man, they have to go and work to help provide for the household because we've evolved to this place now where it takes two incomes. You know.
I would say this though, to go back to what I said earlier. I don't believe in the rhetoric of men do not need a man. And again, when I was speaking on, we were conditioned in certain ways. So the same how the women, grew up in the 40s, 50s, 60s, being conditioned to get married, especially at younger ages. And then we got in the 80s and the 90s. And that was at the point where, the homes were becoming broken up. We were seeing that more. It was getting on the verge of a rise. So, yes, you had those single, bitter mothers who came in with the rhetoric as don't depend on a man for anything. Instead of telling them, don't go into the world, depend on a man for anything, teach them to be self-sufficient until they get into a relationship. Because you still have to, the woman, she could be independent all day long with a bag, but do you know how to take care of yourself? Do you know how to keep up with your hygiene? Do you know how to do those things? And again, even with the gas now, whoever's husband, well, he a little crazy. I'm not calling my husband and telling him to drive all the way across town just because I'm too prissy to touch a gas pump. To me, and he had to know maybe she was like that before.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So then he agreed to that. They compromised in that. Okay, well, I can't really speak on that then. They reported, but I was like, that was the first time she ever did that. I would have probably been like, honey, gonna put a dash cam in here that's directly because if you called me across town again to come do that. But now, yeah, like you said, you see women, they in the driver's seat and niggas got the passenger seat tilted back and, she out there trying to put a tire on the whole time he in the car. I don't agree with that. So in them senses, if you don't want to teach a woman to change a tire, because again, that is kind of masculine, I get it, then, teach her to keep paying on your AAA because you're going to need that in case of this happens and you don't have a man. Or say you do, but he's at work. Everybody don't have the luxury to leave work to come help you with something or ain't got someone reliable. So I believe in being self-sufficient. Know how to take care of yourself, know how to pay a bill, know how to stand on your own 2 feet until someone comes into your life and now y'all do it together. You take care of each other and not that one-sided thing. I'm all for that. Because again, like myself, don't nobody go to the grocery store for me, and I do not order my groceries online because I like to touch my own produce. Because if I say I want red apples, you probably would bring me a red apple, but it was probably the worst one out of the litter. I'm like that. I'm finicky like that. But being sufficient, and that's something that my mom showed me how to do. When I'm telling you, I was on that chair like about to be 4. My mom was showing me how to wash dishes. I was in the kitchen. I learned how to cook at a young. Hell, I was in kindergarten, and that was when we had the half days. I would get out of kindergarten at 11 o'clock. I would get home probably 10 minutes later because my school was down the street. And we had a gas stove. I knew how to go turn the gas stove on, medium. Sometimes I was bad for I turn that shit all the way up. I was younger because I remember Uncle Susie used to be like, there's a fire in the hole, turn the fire down. But anyway, I would make my own pancakes because I liked eating pancakes when I got out of kindergarten. It was my thing. My mom had already showed me how to do it. So literally, I'm 5 using a gas stove. You got some kids, they're 5, and they still got to use the Velcro shoes because their mama didn't teach them how to tie them. So self-sufficiency is important. That whole thing you don't need, yes, you do. Just like men can't go out here and say they don't need a woman. Yes, you do. Who's going to be your partner? If not another man, then you need a woman. So that whole thing, working together, and yes, both need, and just like you said, when you don't have a woman, a man does need to know how to wash his own clothes, how to feed himself if he doesn't want to live off of fast food. It's important. Those are important things. And I think that comes from both sides. A guy could teach his son, the same way how he teach him how to wash the car. You can say, son, this is how you work a washer and dryer. So the same with a woman. I think that rhetoric with the women, the bitter women, stop telling these women they don't need a man because you don't have one. And the same with a man. Don't tell these men not to fall in love because you don't want to be in love. It needs to be equal on both sides. But I'm not sure what happened with JC, but we got to the end of the stream. I know we've been on here for a while, so we're going to go on and get up out of here. I do appreciate both of y'all coming on, give me your personal time so we can talk about this again. So go on and please plug your YouTube channel real quick.
Yeah, my YouTube channel is the Ronwatleyjr Jr., and it's that on all social media platforms, TikTok, IG, Twitter, and YouTube, the Ronwatleyjr Jr. And IKEA, thank you again for having me and trusting me to come on as a guest. It's always a pleasure. Anytime. And also, JC's podcast, you can find him at Let's Talk About It with JC. He's also on YouTube. You can also find him on Facebook under JC Shively. And, of course, the Lindsay Podcast, you can find the page on Facebook. It is called the Lindsay Podcast. And also, don't forget to like this video, please, and thank you. And if you enjoyed this video and you're a new viewer, welcome. And if you want to stay, please hit the subscribe button. Also share with your friends. Let us know what you think about those clips and the questions that we had for them today. And again, thank y'all so much for coming in. Also, if you would like to contribute to the channel for better videos, my PayPal link is in the About tab. And until next time, I will see you all later. Bye.